You know, as I mentioned also this morning, when the first wave of the virus hit back in like middle of March, 1st of April, and I'm watching just everything changing so rapidly all over the world, and I'm going, I know Rome is involved in this. She has to be, because Rome is the key ingredient in the great controversy. But I couldn't find it. I didn't see it. I couldn't see how Rome was connected to this pandemic. That's what we're going to look at this afternoon. So we've got the Wuhan laboratory over in Wuhan, China, where all the reports said from the get-go that there was a leak of a coronavirus that came from bats, came out of this laboratory, infected some people at a fish market in this town of Wuhan, China, and then eventually it went to Italy, America, and all over the world. Okay? And that's what we were told. But Bible prophecy, the sure word of prophecy that shines as a light in a dark place, says that Babylon the Great is involved in the deaths of all that were slain on the earth. And we've seen hundreds of thousands of people die. So that means that Rome was involved somehow in what happened in this laboratory. Let's take a look. I found this article. I think somebody sent it to me. It's from a magazine called The Business Insider. Okay? April 13 of 2020. It says this. Dr. Anthony Fauci. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is Dr. Anthony Fauci. Okay? This is the real short guy. Whenever Donald Trump would come in to make a comment to tell America what was going on, this guy was always there with him. Remember him? Okay, so this is the guy we're talking about, Anthony Fauci. He's the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Okay, he's had a big job. He's actually served along health and infectious diseases lines with the last 7 presidents. 7 presidents, folks. That goes back, well, let's see, we've got Trump, Obama, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Reagan, Carter. That goes back, yeah, a long time. It goes on. It says, Dr. Anthony Fauci warned members of the incoming Trump administration in January of 2017 about the inevitability of a surprise outbreak of a new disease. He said what? Donald Trump came in January of 2017, and in 2017, according to Business Insider, Anthony Fauci told Donald Trump, he said, during your administration, there will be a surprise outbreak of an infectious disease.
How did he know?
Thank you very much. How did he know that? Is he not only an expert in infectious disease and allergies? Is he also a prophet? How do you know that? It goes on. He said at the time that the U.S. needed to do more to prepare. There is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration, the Trump administration, in the arena of infectious diseases, Fauci said during a speech at Georgetown University. Georgetown University. What kind of a university is that? It's a Jesuit university. That's right. It is the preeminent university run by the Jesuits in America. Now, who speaks at Georgetown University? Any run-of-the-mill doctor speak at Georgetown? No. You've got to be a real insider.
Yes.
You've got to be top of the rung to be able to speak at Georgetown. And you've got to be a part of the agenda of Georgetown University and the Jesuits. Anthony Fauci spoke there. And he said, there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases. The thing we are extraordinarily confident. Extraordinarily confident? That's like me saying, I am extraordinarily confident that I'm going to sleep tonight. Okay? That's a guarantee. I'm going to sleep tonight. Unless, but, you know.
You didn't let me talk for an hour and a half.
We are extraordinarily confident about is that we're going to see this in the next few years. How can I say that, folks? They were working on it. It was in the works. And that's how Anthony Fauci could say there's going to be a pandemic during the time of the Trump administration. Either that, or Anthony Fauci is not only a doctor, he's also a prophet. Now, I think we would all agree that he's not a prophet. So, we're saying then that Anthony Fauci knew that there would be a pandemic during the time of the first administration of Donald Trump. Excuse me, that's from Business Insider. Yeah, April 13, 2020. How did Fauci know this? How did he know there would be a pandemic during the Trump administration? I thought he was a doctor. He sounds more like a prophet. The thing we're extraordinarily confident about is that we're going to see this in the next few years. Interesting. 3 years before the pandemic called the coronavirus occurred, Anthony Fauci told the Trump administration it would happen. Is he a prophet? Did the Holy Spirit fall on him and help him see the future? How could he be so confident? How could he tell an audience at Georgetown University, a Jesuit school, that a pandemic would happen? Interesting. Now here's another article, April 28, 2020. Has anybody ever heard of Newsweek magazine?
Yeah.
Newsweek magazine. Listen to what they say. Anthony Fauci is an advisor to President Donald Trump and something of an American folk hero for his steady, calm leadership during the pandemic crisis. At least one poll shows that Americans trust Fauci more than Trump on the coronavirus pandemic. And few scientists are portrayed on TV by Brad Pitt. There must have been a movie out where Fauci was in it, and Brad Pitt played his part. Okay, I'm guessing that's pretty much what it's saying. But just last year, the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases, the organization led by Dr. Fauci, now listen to what it says. What did Dr. Fauci's organization do? Funded scientists, where? At the Wuhan Institute of Virology and other institutions for work on gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses. Now, a lot of people don't like this kind of research, called gain-of-function research. A lot of doctors are absolutely opposed to that because the possibility of what they're researching, of it being leaked out into the public, and it infecting millions of people all over the world, is extremely dangerous. A Newsweek magazine says that Anthony Fauci's organization funded scientists to study coronaviruses from bats. In 2019, with the backing of Fauci's National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, that's what NIAID means, the National Institute of Health committed $3.7 million over 6 years for research that included some gain-of-function work. The program followed another $3.7 million, 5-year project for collecting and studying bat coronaviruses, which ended in 2019, bringing the total to $7.4 million. So let me see if we got this right. So Anthony Fauci is pouring $7.5 million into the laboratory in Wuhan, China. And he's telling them to do research on bat coronaviruses. And he's telling them to do it with a gain-of-function research with the possibility that that could leak out to the public. And at the same time that all this is happening, Fauci is warning Trump in a speech from Georgetown University during your administration, there's going to be a pandemic. It's going to kill millions of people. Many scientists have criticized gain-of-function research, which involves manipulating viruses in the lab to explore their potential for infecting humans, because it creates a risk of starting a pandemic from accidental release. Wait a minute, folks. If you tell the world that during your administration, Mr. Trump, there will be a pandemic, a worldwide, that's what a pandemic is. It's a worldwide disease that spreads all over the world. It says this kind of research creates a risk of starting a pandemic from accidental release. I'm not understanding that the pandemic was an accident, are you? Anthony Fauci said there's going to be a pandemic because once we've got this thing together, we're going to make sure that it leaks out. This was not an accident, friends. Not when you're telling people years in advance that it's going to happen.
Planned accident.
It was a planned pandemic. That's what it was, Dennis. SARS-2, COVID-2, the virus now causing a global pandemic, is believed to have originated in bats. U.S. intelligence, after originally asserting that the coronavirus had occurred naturally, conceded last month that the pandemic may have originated in a leak from the Wuhan lab. Again, folks, if I'm telling you right now, 5 years from now, you're going to be in a car accident, and 5 years from now, you're in a car accident, is that an accident? No. Fauci supported with millions of dollars the research, implementation, and spread of this current virus. The medical madman in the Beltway funded the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. Who knows where it's going to end? Who knows? But how is the laboratory in China connected to the Vatican? You say, all you've been talking about, Bill, is Anthony Fauci. How is that connected to the Vatican? I'm glad you asked. Anthony Fauci, this is some general information about him. His maternal grandfather was named Giovanni Abbas. Born in Switzerland, was an artist, noted for landscape and portrait painting, magazine illustrations, as well as graphic design, including olive oil cans. His grandparents immigrated from Italy to the United States in the late 19th century. Now I'm going to give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. What religious background do you think his grandparents were? They were Roman Catholics. Okay, they were Roman Catholic. Fauci grew up Roman Catholic, surprise, surprise. Fauci attended Regis High School in Manhattan's Upper East Side, where he captained the school's basketball team and graduated in 1958. If you look up Regis High School in New York City, it's a Jesuit. It's a Jesuit school. From there, he went to the College of the Holy Cross, graduating in 1962 with a Bachelor of Arts in Classics. Guess what kind of a college Holy Cross is? It's Jesuit. Born and raised Roman Catholic, 8 years trained by the Jesuit order. And folk, if you have ever studied the spiritual exercises of Ignatius Loyola, what happens to people that take that education? They become cadavers. They become robots to do exactly as they are told. And it doesn't matter who they hurt. Fauci attended high school and first 4 years of college in Jesuit training. If his Jesuit handlers say that white is black, then white is black. If his Jesuit handlers say, create a disease to destroy humanity and to destroy all of Protestantism along the way, that's exactly what he did. He then completed an internship from Cornell University Medical Center. So Fauci is a devout Roman Catholic, attended the College of the Holy Cross, Wikipedia says the College of the Holy Cross, or better known simply as Holy Cross, is a private Jesuit liberal arts college in Worcester, Mass. Founded in 1843, Holy Cross is the oldest Catholic college in New England and one of the oldest in the U.S. Opened as a school for boys under the auspices of the Society of Jesus, it was the first Jesuit college in New England. Today, Holy Cross is one of 28 member institutions of the Association of Jesuit Colleges and Universities. St. Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Society of Jesus, had an abiding faith in the power of education to transform students' lives. You know, it's fascinating to me that Anthony Fauci trained at Regis, trained at Holy Cross, that Anthony Fauci has something very much in common with two other very important people. Donald Trump was trained at Fordham, a Jesuit institution. Ted Wilson, the president of the General Conference, got a doctorate degree from New York University in religious studies, which they don't teach, because I called him on the phone. New York University farms out their doctoral studies in religious education. Guess where Ted Wilson got his doctorate? Fordham University. Writing to Philip II of Spain, the early Jesuits expressed themselves clearly. All the well-being of Christianity and of the whole world depends on the proper education of youth. Ignatius desired that Jesuits run tuition-free schools available to all students who are qualified, for everybody, poor and rich. Regis High School, Regis's legacy began with the will of a generous parishioner of the Church of St. Ignatius, Loyola, and with the dream of its pastor, Reverend David W. Hearn, Society of Jesus. So that's where Anthony Fauci received his high school training, and at Holy Cross in Worcester, Mass, is where he went 4 years for college. Born and raised in a devout Catholic family, attending Regis Jesuit High, then the College of the Holy Cross. His organization, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, sends nearly $8 million to the Wuhan laboratory to do controversial research that could leak a coronavirus all over the world, killing millions of people. The pandemic that Fauci said would happen 3 years ago is fitting perfectly into the papal Jesuit plan for world dominion. Now, let's ask ourselves a question. You're Anthony Fauci. You're a Jesuit coadjutor. That means you are not one of the Jesuit priests. But what you do is you use your profession to serve the Jesuit order. So Anthony Fauci, as an expert in infectious diseases and allergies, he is told, you create a virus, a coronavirus. You then will leak it out of the Wuhan laboratory. You will warn the Trump administration that during that administration, there will be a pandemic. And in the process, we're going to kill, probably when this is all over, millions of people. And we are going to use what you are going to do to destroy the Protestant Reformation. Now, how can a man be willing to do that? You're going to kill people? You're going to use your education to kill? How could you do that? He does what he is told. He has been trained that when his masters speak, he obeys. Just like Edward Smith aboard the Titanic.
Yeah.
Edward Smith had traveled the North Atlantic waters for 26 years. But when his master, J.P. Morgan, who was controlled by the Rothschild Jesuit Consortium, when they told Edward Smith, you will take the Titanic, you will take it into the North Atlantic where there are huge icebergs, and you will bury that ship in the North Atlantic. That is exactly what he did. In spite of the fact that he received 8 warnings that very night to slow the ship down and to be very, very careful because there were great icebergs in that area. And Edward Smith was a man on a mission. He had been told, it doesn't matter who gets hurt, you destroy those people. And now you come down 100 and so years later, and you have another man, Anthony Fauci, using his profession to serve the Jesuit order. And Anthony Fauci is told, you do gain of function research, you make sure that virus gets out of that lab, you infect people in Wuhan, China, and then it will go all over the world. And you do that because we told you to. And that's exactly what he did. How many of you have ever heard of Joseph Mengele? Joseph Mengele? Yes. He was a German doctor during World War II. How many of you have heard of him? Some of you have. Okay. Joseph Mengele, he's almost a carbon copy of Anthony Fauci. Mengele was trained in Catholic schools. He lived and grew up in Jesuit-controlled Bavaria in southern Germany. That was the only area of Germany that the Protestant Reformation could not enter. Bavaria was the only place. And it became a Jesuit stronghold in southern Germany. They started a school there, Ingolstadt University. The Illuminati was started in Bavaria. Well, Joseph Mengele was trained. He was born in a Catholic home, trained by the Jesuits. He was a Jesuit coadjutor during the Second World War. He was stationed at a horrible prison camp called Auschwitz. And as the Jewish people would get off their trains, Joseph Mengele would say, you go there and you go there. And the people that would go there, he'd do experiments on them. And the ones that he said go there, they would be killed. And all through the war at Auschwitz, this Jesuit coadjutor used his medical abilities to destroy human life. And at the end of the Second World War, as it became obvious the Germans were going to be defeated, Joseph Mengele and other high Nazi officials escaped out of Germany through the Vatican rat lines, and Joseph Mengele ended up in Argentina. with the Perones. Same thing. Mengele, Fauci. This guy is a madman. He was told, you don't do gain of research. You don't do that. Because he can leak out and kill millions of people. But he's a man on a mission. This is from the New York Post, April 29, 2020. The New York Post says, Dr. Anthony Fauci, a member of the coronavirus task force, had previously backed funding for a controversial lab in Wuhan, China, that has been studying the coronavirus in bats. Fauci's NIAID had shelled out a total of $7.4 million to the Wuhan Institute lab, which has become the focus of theories about the origin of COVID-19, according to Newsweek. The National Institutes of Health, which oversees the NIAID, shut down all funding to the lab last week. I wonder why. At this time, NIH does not believe that the current project outcomes align with the program goals and agency priorities. There is increasing confidence among officials in the Trump administration that the Wuhan Institute of Virology lab is the original site of the virus. A report by Fox News said embassy officials were warned in January 2018 about inadequate safety there. The NIH defended its funding of the lab in a statement to Newsweek. Wow. Wow. So the man who is a member of the coronavirus task force, the man who funded, the man who had the research done, who used gain-of-function research, the man who predicted that it would happen with extraordinary confidence, was a part of the coronavirus task force. Anthony Fauci, who told America, we need to shut America down. Everybody needs to stay at home. We need to wear masks. We need to stay 6 feet apart. That's come from Anthony Fauci and his friends at the CDC. The Jesuits were past masters of the ways of deception. They were adept in the policy of secretly bringing on a public disaster, simultaneously providing for salvation from the last terrors of that disaster. Thus, they would be credited with salvation from the extremity of the calamity, while others were blamed for the cause. Jesuits have done this for the last 500 years. They create some disaster. And when the disaster is in full force, then they come forward with the solution. And they receive the credit for providing the solution to the problem.
That's called Hegelian effect.
That's the Hegelian dialectic. Yes. Hegelian dialectic. So here we have the man who planned it, who funded it, who predicted it, who pushed the kind of research that was very dangerous, that everybody said, you don't do that. He did it anyway. And now he's the one telling America solutions to the problem. A Jesuit coadjutor? Well, what are they? They're Jesuit brothers who worked almost exclusively within Jesuit communities. They serve as cooks. They'd be tailors, farmers, secretaries, accountants, librarians, maintenance support, doctors, lawyers. They were thus technically known as temporal coadjutors. They assisted the professed priests by undertaking the more worldly jobs. Okay? They'd work in worldly jobs. Lawyers, doctors, tailors, shoe salesmen, insurance men, farmers, cooks, secretaries, accountants. Freeing the professed Jesuits of the Four Vows and the spiritual coadjutors to undertake the sacramental and spiritual missions of the society. A great controversy, page 234 and 235, says this. I'm not going to read it all, but it says, vowed to perpetual poverty and humility. The Jesuits' studied aim was to secure wealth and power, to be devoted to the overthrow of Protestantism and the reestablishment of the papal supremacy. The Jesuits were raised up in the 1530s to destroy the Reformation. You ask, why is it that people who know who the whore is in Revelation 17, why can't they say who it is? Why is it that in almost 10 years of being the president of the General Conference, that Ted Wilson cannot speak on the papacy as the Antichrist? Why is that?
Yeah.
He's part of them, Brenda. That's right. That's right. When you're part of some group, it's very difficult to speak against them. Very difficult. It puzzles me how large ministries like 3ABN, like Amazing Facts, why aren't we hearing messages? Why aren't they saying something about what is going on? While things are being decimated in this country, why aren't they saying anything?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. It's because they've been taken over by the Jesuit order. That's why. And the Jesuit orders told them to keep their mouths shut, and they've obeyed. They've obeyed. What did the Protestant Reformation give to us that the Jesuits want to overthrow? That's a fair question. Protestantism gave us primarily three things: a middle class, civil liberty, and religious liberty. Those were the three things that were bequeathed to us by the Protestant Reformation. Prior to the Reformation, a middle class was something virtually unknown. Think about it as you went, in your history. Let's see, in all the countries there were barons, there were aristocrats, there were lords, right?
Yeah.
And they were the extreme wealthy. And then what was the other class? It was the peasants. It was the serfs. It was the slaves. The plebeian classes. There was no middle ground before the Reformation. The two-class system was complements of the papacy. In fact, in any Central or South American country today, you still have a two-class system.
Yeah.
And who manhandles those countries today? Has it ever dawned on you that throughout North and South America,
Yeah.
in the New World, all the Central American countries, you have the rich and you have the poor.
Yeah.
And then in all the South American countries, you have the wealthy and you have the people with nothing. But in North America, it's different. Why is that? Why is it that the United States is not like Central and South America? Why is that? It's because the United States was built on Protestant principles. Remember those two horns like a lamb that speak like a dragon? Yeah. America was built on those Protestant principles of civil and religious liberty, which engenders a middle class. That's why in America we have a middle class. Other than the Magna Carta, the mighty charter in 1215, when the English barons rebelled against the horrible abuses of King John and Pope Innocent, civil and religious liberty were basically unheard of throughout the Dark Ages. A person had no freedom of speech, press, or religion. Everyone did as the king or pope told them to do. That was why when the pilgrims came to America, they came looking for a land without a king, should be without a king, and a church without a pope. James Madison tells us where these gifts came from. In a letter to F.L. Schaeffer dated 1821, Madison explained that the American model of religious liberty illustrates the excellence of a system which by a due distinction to which the genius and courage of Luther led the way. Between what is due to Caesar and what is due God, best promotes the discharge of both obligations. James Madison said our system of civil and religious liberty came from Martin Luther. It is bequeathed to us by the Protestant Reformation. So what has been the fallout? What has been the result of this pandemic? What has been the result? Well, let's see. Has anybody with middle-class jobs been affected?
What do you think?
I was talking to my sister in San Jose, California recently. She read my book, and she told me, she said, you know what? Some of the people in Silicon Valley are saying that people who lost middle-class jobs, they won't return for another 10 years. So, middle-class jobs, gone. Jesuits got the first one, didn't they? Through the pandemic. How about civil and religious liberty? In this country, do people go to church when they want to now? No. They haven't for the last 3 months, have they? That religious freedom, folk, was ripped apart.
Yeah.
Ripped apart. Civil liberties. People want to go back to work. Can they go back to work? No, they can't. They can't. All gifts bequeathed to us by our Protestant forefathers with their blood, and we give them away in order to feel safe. The words of Ben Franklin serve as a dire warning to us today. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. The virus, as the Jesuits planned, has played right into their plans. Anthony Fauci, the madman in the Beltway, has been used to undo all that Protestantism has done. Wake up, friend. We can't allow this to happen.